Hi, welcome to plzsoccer.com. We're on YouTube and across all social media channels. I'm Peter Martin. I'm delighted to say former Celtic star KRIS Commons joins me on the programme. KRIS, looking back at Celtic's run in the Champions League, it was impressive. They fell at that final hurdle against Bayern Munich, but on Tuesday night, boy, were they good to watch.
It just shows you where they have actually came from, where we are actually able to have a conversation openly about how disappointed we are that Celtic didn't manage to be the European giants of Bayern Munich. It just shows you the magnitude of the job that Brendan Rodgers and his backroom staff have been able to put together. So the fact that we're in a position now and, looking back on that result, there's got to be huge amounts of positives that they can take on into next season's European campaign.
How impressed were you, and were you surprised by the way they went about their business?
They didn't look frightened, they didn't look scared, they took the game to them, they weren't tentative. I thought the performance itself was flawless. I think when you look at the chances that they created, especially first half, if they'd have put another one of those away, it might just been a little wake-up call for Bayern Munich. But, I can't fault a performance like that, especially away from home in that environment, knowing what it's all about, was quite remarkable. One of the best ones that I've seen in a long while by a Celtic team.
Yeah, share your view on that. Do you think it kind of restores the credibility of the club as a serious force at a certain level in European stage?
They've certainly come a long way in the sense of the Borussia Dortmund game. They really did bounce back with the Atalanta game. They've shown that they were more than capable of going up against really, really good opposition and not just, going toe to toe, actually being in a position where they could have eliminated Bayern Munich. Now that just shows you not only the resilience that they've shown throughout this campaign, but the confidence that they've got. And, when you do travel all the way to these big arenas and you look around and you see the clientele that's on the bench and then, in the starting 11, people either raise their game and take it to the next level or they crumble. And for Celtic Tuesday night, they certainly filled that badge with pride and put on a real good show. And like I said, we're in a position where we can now speak about that they're so unfortunate to concede what was a very, very cruel way to, draw the game.
Who's impressed you in that lineup?
I think as a team, they've been very, very solid. I think they've been superb. I'm a huge fan of Carter Vickers. I think he adds a dimension to the back four that makes you feel at ease. I think he's very comfortable in possession. He looks very comfortable coming out through the back. I also think Nicholas Cunha, he's another one that lights it up. I know he scored on Tuesday night, but he's always a threat. When he comes in off that right-hand side on his left foot, he's a real threat, a real top player for Celtic this season. So, if they can get through this season and on to next season, then they're the sort of players that you want to build your team around. And I think Brendan Rodgers will know that they're keeping him fit and the likes of Jota, and obviously the dynamics that they've got in wide areas and really, really changing games on the flip of the head.
You mentioned Brendan Rodgers there. I get the feeling that was very much the redemption moment. Everybody looked at him leaving the first time around, coming back. He was brought back to try and give them a European pedigree and, of course, maybe win a few dissenting fans over. Do you think he's managed that and much more?
Absolutely, yeah. I think with Celtic, with the league, the budget, you're always fighting against, the big clubs. I think one thing that Brendan Rodgers was never able to really do before the people before him was get that big scalp in Europe. And I think what he has done now is not only been able to put in performances away from home against the likes of Atalanta and produce matches at home when he was obviously first in charge with Man City, he's actually gave, I would say, the Celtic supporters a real hope that things are heading in the right direction in Europe. And I think if you can be that determined, that resilient, tactically brilliant away from home, then it gives you a huge amount of confidence going into the sort of clientele that they will be trying to get to Celtic Park next year to get them to that next level. And spending money, getting them to the next level is going to be a really, really risky business because with the windfall that they have received this year, with they've got to spend that wisely.
And just picking up on that point, they reckon that they will have banked somewhere in the region of between 50 and 60 million pounds from that run in and all the trappings of the success of that run. How important do you think it is that the board give Brendan the cash to take it to the next level?
It's a very good question. It depends what level you want to go to. I think when you're talking about Europe's elite, to get past the likes of Bayern Munich, the Borussia Dortmunds, you're going to need 10 times as much as 50 million. It's not that kind of there's all the money, we're going to get 500 million pounds worth of talent, and then let's hope that we get to the last 16 of the Champions League. I think what Celtic have been very, very good at in the past is buying in players and either selling them on for a profit or getting in players that were £4 million and getting a really good, a good run from them. So I think the most important thing for Celtic, and especially Brendan Rodgers, is the consistency. What you want to do in Europe, I would say, is, if you are getting beat, if you're in that sort of environment, that you are getting results like the Bayern Munich away, where you lose, 1-1, you draw 1-1. You want to try and eradicate and eliminate the 6-7-0s, which obviously Celtic's been known for in the previous years. Even when I was a player, we had guidance in Europe, and that's just the level that it sets. So I think going forward, they identify targets that are definitely going to make them more competitive, and when called upon for the European games, that when the big boys come to town, that there's more than just hope going into games, that there's more of a expectation that Celtic are more than capable of turning any team over in Europe.
Yeah, I don't think too many Celtic fans, indeed, I don't think anyone would be looking for them to spend tens of millions. They've had great credit and great praise for the way they've gone about their business and being shrewd in that transfer market. I don't think Brendan will be saying, give me 50, 60 million, but he might be saying, if you give me a certain amount of money, I might be able to coach whatever we bring in and get us to a level where they think a playoff place every season could be the roll of the dice, that maybe one day they knock out a kind of a Bayern Munich. Is that possible if you give them a certain amount of cash? And how important do you think it is they do that?
Yeah, listen, they've spent quite a bit of money. They've not been into the transfer market trying to just, kind of work their way through it. They've actually spent an half decent amount of money. I think when you look at Trusty, Carter Vickers, you've got obviously Jota back in the frame. Ida was 9.5 million. So they've spent, a good amount of money. But what they have done in this last couple of windows, they've spent it wisely. And they've bought in quality, they've bought in players that go straight into that starting 11. And that's what you want to do. You want to go and identify players that are between £6 and £10 million that could potentially be worth 20, 30 million. I think obviously next season there'll be a few more people that will be invested into the squad. I think like Vickers, another centre half at the side. I know Trusty's come in, another signing. See how he does in these closing months of the season. But yeah, if you're looking for invest quality, you're looking to take it to that next step, or at least give you a chance for that next step, then you'll be looking at players in the bracket of 10, 11, 12 million at minimum, without any question.
And to the end of this season, obviously they're out of sight at the moment, and you've been well used to the quest for domestic silverware. Do you see anybody stopping them now from winning that Scottish Cup now that Rangers have exited the tournament?
Listen, I've been on teams when you expect to win, and then unfortunately things don't go your way. So, it's still believe in the process, being confident but not arrogant. You've certainly got to not take your eye off the ball. You've got to be, ruthless in your of what you set out pre-season. I think that at the minute, I think every box that was open for this season, that Brendan Rodgers has certainly put a nice big green tick in most of them. I think now it's just about finishing the job off, finishing strong, really showing the dominance of domestic football, and then see where it goes over the pre-season and see if it can attract a few big names that will really get this support excited for next season.
Just as a footnote on that point that you just made there, Chris, do you think with the performance against Bayern Munich that maybe a better calibre of player will be looking and thinking Celtic is now a more attractive proposition?
if they can guarantee Champions League football, or if they can guarantee that they're going to be competitive in either the Europa League, then without a question, I think it goes hand in hand. As soon as you walk through those doors at Celtic Park, you know what you're in for. It's an incredible club, a real privilege to play for the club. But I think if you're looking for the next calibre of player, they probably don't just want the Scottish Premier League. They want that little bit extra. Now Celtic does guarantee that. I think next season they may have to navigate through one playoff round. So if they can get through that and get into the group stages and just see who they draw up against, but make no bones about it, there'll not be many teams that want to come to Celtic Park and try and play the football and try and get through to the knockout stage of European football.
Chris, as always, an absolute pleasure. Great to have Kris Commons with us on plzsoccer.com. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel, and you can download the app and get all the breaking news at your fingertips.